Hello from the studio. I've been getting questions because, like David Cohn and Darryl Strawberry and Dwight Gooden and others, Carlos Beltran, I have the unique experience of having been both a Yankee and a Met. So I worked in both of the cultures. My version of a baseball card. There you go. I don't know if you could see that, if it's going to focus, but yeah, that's my Mets card and my Yankees card, my bona fides. I couldn't hit a curveball, so these are my version of a baseball card, no less legitimate. So I was a Yankee and a Met. So people were asking me, well, what's the difference? How come the Yankees can have a losing streak and bounce back, and the Mets can have a losing streak and it keeps going? And it sort of always seems to be like that. The Yankees are kind of always good, and the Mets are like, they have moments where they're good and then they're not. And the Mets have the highest payroll, so it's not about money, right? It's not about money. Ownership has changed, but nothing has changed. And I tell people this is what I say. The culture is completely different. When you work at the Mets versus the Yankees, it's a totally different experience. There's like a thing when you work for the Mets, and I can't describe it, but it's like this sort of this ominous presence that's just always there, and it kind of constrains you, and it doesn't have a great feeling. I know this is not like, well, write it down and we'll change it. No, it's a pervasive feeling that is just different. So now, when I first was with the Mets, I was with the Mets twice. I was with the Mets as a college intern, then kind of an employee. Then I came back later. So I was there very young with the Doubleday Wilpon ownership. Then I was back with the Wilpon ownership. And I can tell you, even that was different, but by degree. So when I was with the Doubleday Wilpon, you had more. I was in creative, right? So we do scoreboard creative. You had more freedom. You definitely had more freedom. There was more of a vibe of, make it good. Okay. But there was still sort of this, hovering over your head, this sort of presence. And then when I was back some years later, when just Wilpon owned it, again, I was doing creative. I mean, micromanaged like you can't believe. Every little thing was criticized, and everybody was afraid of their own shadow because everybody micromanaged every little thing. Because you got to remember, in sports, like with a baseball team, there's about 200 employees. It's a small kind of company. And like, there's only so far you can really advance. There's only so many positions you can advance to. So what's weird there, and what I felt, was that there was this constant sort of backstabbery, but it was weird because you really weren't going to go anywhere. All you kind of did was backstab somebody, and they knew it, and nothing really changed because there was only so high you could go. It was very strange and very micromanaged, and everybody was very much afraid of their own shadow. And then when the Madoff thing happened, it was on steroids. Everybody was out I could tell stories about that, but there's a climate. There's a climate with the Mets that's different. There's sort of a presence there. Now, fast forward, I go to the Yankees. I'm a Yankee and creative. Very, very different feel. Still a business, still corporate, still small, still about 200 employees, but a lot less of that feeling. It was just sort of a better feeling of, it'll just make it good. There was more of a little bit of a sense of humor amongst people that worked there, and it was just, we're going to make it good. Professional, but good. And there was also a feeling when you worked even in the front office, like I did in creative, that's considered front office, that we don't have anything to prove to anybody. We just make the best. And I felt that the people there kind of looked out for each other a little more, and it was just a very different feel of culture. It was, if you want to stay here, you just got to be really good. You just got to be good. Don't backstab to stay. Don't micromanage to stay. Just be good. And with very few exceptions, that's how I felt the Yankees were. So, wrapping this up, why are the Yankees able to overcome losing streaks and the Mets not? I don't know, but I can tell you, I don't know the answer, but I can tell you it might be this energy. They might need an energy cleanse. And I worked at Shea and City, and the energy went from one to the other. Although Shea had a better energy, I will say that. There was something about Shea, especially the old timers that worked there, like there was little crevices and little things about it that made it special. And that was all gone at Citi Field. Everything was, key card here, your key carded there. Yankee Stadium has that too, don't get me wrong, but it was a very different feeling. So Shea had a little bit more freedom and Citi Field didn't. But there's I know it sounds existential and it sounds crazy. And again, I was in creative, so maybe I'm a crazy person. But there's something different about the Yankees and the Mets. And when you work at both, you see it, you sense it, and you understand it. It's in the air. It's in the DNA of the organization. I can't explain it, but it's real. And as a kid, I grew up sort of a Mets fan. I was more inclined to be a Met. So for me to say this is not like, well, you're a Yankee fan. No. I grew up a Mets fan. But the culture of the Yankees, even from the front office down, is just it's a easier culture. It's a better culture to thrive in, to succeed in, and to do better work in. I don't know, and it does trickle down to the players, I would think, because you see those people all the time. People don't get it. Like when you work for a team, like the guys who play, that's just like another department. I mean, granted, it's a glamorous department and everybody kind of wants to be around that department. And I'm sure it's like that in the music industry too. Whoever department the artists come in, it's still part of the business. So like our offices were over here. Over here was like, say, marketing. Over here was like the photographers. Over here was whatever. And over there and down, it was the players. And we needed the players to do this. They needed them to do that. It was all part of the same little company. So you gotta think of it that way, because that's how it is. And you make relationships with everybody across the board, which includes the players. So this feeling is a real thing. It's like a thing. It's in the air. I can't describe it. But I think I've touched on it enough. The micromanaging was, now I can say this, as somebody whose job it was to be creative, create things that entertain the fans, like keep them entertained, keep it good. Fresh content, right? That's one of the things I did in stadium, on the big TV, right? It's hard to do that when you know every little thing is micromanaged. I mean, I remember one time we got a call from an executive because the pixel size of the visiting logo looked to be 2 or 3 pixels bigger than the Met logo, and it wasn't the case. They were all in a frame. It wasn't any big. But we had to make the pixels 3 pixels smaller because that was noticed. It wasn't even real. So I don't know if that helps anybody understand. It's a culture. It's in the air. It's in the environment. That's my experience. If somebody else has worked for both, by all means, chime in. But that's how I felt. So I would say if you're going to make a bet, who's more likely to win the World Series in the next year to 3 or 4 for the Yankees? It's cultural. All right, back with more photography stuff and like that going forward. But there you go. Oh, and Ricky Henderson was also a Met and a Yankee too. And I have good stories of him. Maybe I'll share on this channel someday because we were Mets at the same time. All right, anyway, that's it. Thanks. Bye from the house.
From the house of RAzz Vault. Enjoy.